Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. So I first just like to start by just, again, acknowledging the territory. It's so important and the beautiful words that we had here today from Butch Dick. One Wave Festival has been in Victoria for 10 years. It's designed as a movement for change. It's volunteer-driven, and it's about building community. Over the last 10 years, we've reached over 10,000 people. We've been in 16 different venues with 60 performing artists, 40 NGOs, 200 different partners. It's all about connecting people and youth, and the surf crowd was originally where we started. But it was to inspire people to become stewards of our shared environment. Pacific education and cultural celebrations were really central to the whole event because our organization is about connecting North-South. So North and South Pacific connections were evident in all of our programming and highlighted. And so over the years, we've had many different dance troupes from both the South Pacific as well as from some of the local Indigenous communities here of Coast Salish, the Kwangin dancers, the Esquimalt dancers. And the elements of this program included all different dimensions of Pacific arts and art stations and roving artists and NGOs as part of a village where we tried to inspire people to become part of stewardship of our shared environment. Voice is a really important part of what we're trying to do too. We're opening space for a chance for people to come together and to debate and motivate, encourage solidarity as we are shared stewards of these territories. Program spaces for dialogue, debate, exploration, and shoutouts where the NGOs that participate could come and speak as well and talk about what they do. Also a point for innovation. So for instance, with us working in the South Pacific, connecting to the South Pacific is difficult. So we live broadcast some of the sessions. We also have things like scientific, where you've got the touch tanks, working with people like World Fisheries Trust, holding media workshops like with MediaNet, engaging youth so that we have a shared platform for the artists. Leading up to the events, we have these circles and spaces where people can come together and learn about the issues that are common to all of us in the South Pacific, and also offering that opportunity for youth to work with artists so that they can share their own stories within the festival format. Solidarity and friendship is a really key part of what we're trying to build here. We're trying to create a space where people can come together in a good way and you know, just mark the opportunities we have, you know, to work in solidarity for our environment, but also, you know, with different groups. So there's a huge amount of collaboration that happens with everything. And this image that you see here is from Mark Gowdy from Sauk Nation. And what he's created here is an image that represents the coming together of the North and South Pacific peoples. So relationships are necessary to collaboration, and a huge part of what we do is building those relationships. You have to show up and be there and also build these over years. And what you're seeing is like the process of what has evolved with our event. But with our One Wave, it turned from a festival into a gathering. And we were marking the 10th anniversary at a time when, last year, when we were also looking at the 150th anniversary of Canada. So we needed to do that in a thoughtful way. And what we did is we worked with artists like Yalmer Wenstop and with local elders and also with the permissions of the Songhees and Esquimalt chiefs and councils. And Yalmer had a vision to project longhouses onto the legislature lawn and or onto the legislature. But in the end, we were able to successfully realize the project in a physical form, where 4 longhouses representing 3 different language groups of the island, Nuchalnuth, Kwakwaka'wakw, and Coast Salish, as well as a South Pacific house. And so those 4 houses were designed by youth from each of the different nations. The youth were mentored through an ongoing process of working with Yalmer, and then they had the chance to come and install their works on the grounds of the legislature. What you see here is the blessing of the grounds, and then the crews of people that would come together and learn about the protocols of putting up a house on the legislature lawn. And every part of what we did was very thoughtfully done and prepared because we needed to ensure the ground was set with proper protocol for what was going to happen. So it was a really special day to be there, to open this and to see this amazing, you know, act of friendship from all the different nations. And I just can't say enough that the guidance that we had from the local community, from Skip Dick and from everyone was just so helpful to helping us realize this vision, which was basically an act of friendship. And you can see that it's laid out there. We had groups dancing from each of the different language groups and the house, the different 4 houses that were there. Each of them were programmed inside by some of the dance groups and presentations that you see here. The youth were honored in a really good way too. They were blanketed in a traditional way by the elders of these territories and by the chiefs and councils. And they were also given leis from the South Pacific to mark the coming together of the different nations, including the 5,000 plus people that attended that day. Inside each of those 4 houses, there was incredible programming that was put on by those different people groups. And in particular, the South Pacific House that you see, I think, on that side, that represented many different nations of the South Pacific. So within that house, for instance, you would have seen singing from the South Pacific, or you'd have a chance to try on a mask from the Kwakwaka'wakw house. So it was really involved, and every one of those spaces was programmed by the communities in an act of friendship. So it was a really remarkable day to come together and to celebrate and to be together. This is so fast, holy. So I just want to say this is AJ here, and AJ, there was a headline on him and his work, and it's Young Artist Discovers His Cultural Roots Through Longhouse Design. So he's a 16-year-old Nuu-chah-nulth man who grew up in the foster care system. And so by coming to the project and working with Hjalmar Wenstop, the lead artist, he was able to really learn about his culture. And he talks about how much he learned personally. And, it was just remarkable to see. It was all about the youth and lifting them all up. And what you see here took a village to create. And we can't thank enough Esquimalt late chief, Thomas, and for all the people that contributed to making this a reality. So thank you very much.